from concerned students 1950 to our grad students, football players and other students. The frustration and anger that I see is clear, real, and I don't doubt it for a second.
Tim Wolf is out.
And now we've learned Chancellor Lofton is gone at the end of the year.
This is a movement.
Today, a whirlwind of local and national media coverage from the students and faculty who walked out of class.
To Jonathan Butler ending his hunger strike, to the news that Mizzou football will play Saturday night.
We have live team coverage of a campus uprising.
This is not, I repeat, not the way change should come about.
A special 1-hour edition of KOMU 8 News at 6, starting right now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brittany Pieper, and this is a special hour-long edition of KOMU 8 News at 6. I'm live on the MU campus near Traditions Plaza, and this has been ground zero for Concerned Student 1950, the group at the center of this controversy. In just the last few hours, Chancellor Lofton announced he will resign at the end of this year. That announcement came just 6 hours after UM System President Tim Wolf announced his resignation. It's been 1 week since MU graduate student Jonathan Butler started his hunger strike demanding Wolf's resignation, and just 48 hours since players of the Mizzou football team announced they would not play until Butler ate. We have live team coverage for you this evening, so let's start with KOMU 8's Chris Gothner, who's live at the Old Alumni Center. Chris?
I'm here at the Old Alumni Center, where just about an hour and a half ago, Chancellor Lofton announced he will be transitioning from his role as MU's chancellor. Now, all of this is effective January 1st. He will be transitioning to a new role involving MU's research facilities. Now, we're not entirely sure what that new role entails, but we will surely learn more about that in the coming weeks. Now, I caught up with Lofton as he was leaving the conference. He didn't have much to say to the media, but here's what he had to say at the news conference.
I have decided today that I will transition from the role of Chancellor of the University of Missouri, effective the end of this year, and move into a new role where I will work with many people across the university and the system.
Now, no word on who will replace Lofton as MU's chancellor. The UM Board of Curators will certainly have a lot of work on their hands in the coming weeks. Now, this all started with the resignation of UM System President Tim Wolf. Joining me now is KOMU 8's Amber Smith with more on our live team coverage.
All right, thank you very much, Chris. Yes, I was here this morning where just minutes into this morning's Board of Curators meeting, UM System President Tim Wolf approached the podium and immediately announced his resignation. That announcement was shortly followed by a quick pause because one of the curators who was dialed in over the phone lost some connection. After about a 2 to 3 minute pause after that big announcement, Wolf was then able to carry on with the rest of his speech, saying that he loves this university and it is his belief that we got into this situation because, quote, we stopped listening to each other. Now, he said he made this decision after talking to his daughter even after last night, saying he planned to continue his work here with the university. Wolf also said the hunger strike was not, quote, how change should come about, but he's taking full responsibility, he says.
And I take full responsibility for this frustration, and I take full responsibility for the inaction that has occurred.
Even though Wolf announced his resignation over 6 hours ago, he was present during the entire Board of Curators meeting. He was also in the press room when Chancellor Lofton announced that he would be stepping down from his position as MU's chancellor and taking up a different role with the university. Reporting live from Columbia, Amber Smith, KOMU 8 News.
He ended his hunger strike today. Now take a look. This is cell phone His arrival at Carnahan Quad. You can't actually see him because he's being escorted by friends and supporters, but he started a hunger strike last Monday, a week ago, vowing to not eat anything until Wolf resigned or was forced out of office. Today, he was greeted with cheers from the crowd. This entire movement started with a group of 11 students who formed Concerned Student 1950. That's the group that's been camping out here for the last week. Now, that group also held a news conference earlier today, and Ashley Holt joins me. You were there. What did they have to say?
You know, we were out on the quad today with all of those protesters, obviously covering the event, and they were saying that it is our duty to fight for freedom, it is our duty to win, and we have won. At the press conference, Concerned Student 1950 did outline some of the demands in the list that they gave to the Board of Curators. Those included having black psychologists on staff, having black faculty reach 10%, as well as having a meeting with the Board of Curators Council, as well as the Board of Curators and the governor in order to address future action.
At the end of all this, after all the letters we've sent, all the in-person interactions, after all the forums we've attended, after all the tweets and DMs that we've sent, telling the administration about our pain, it should not have taken this much, and it is disgusting and vile that we find ourselves in the place that we do.
Our goal is to abolish inequalities at the intersection of race at the University of Missouri-Columbia. While today may seem bright to some, this is just a beginning in aiding and dismantling systems of oppression within higher education, specifically the UM system.
Overall, the group emphasized change for all marginalized students, not just black students, as well as having change on MU's campus, as well as all campuses across the country. Now, that student that you heard from first was MU graduate student Jonathan Butler, who went on a hunger strike early last week, saying that he was not going to eat until UM Systems President Tim Wolf was fired, resigned, or until his organs failed. And obviously, Brittany, his hunger strike ended earlier today.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Now, this whole movement changed a few days ago when MU football players announced they would not play and would stand with this movement. KOMU8 sports director Chris Trevino is back in the studio, and he tells us how football helped turn the tide in this protest.
Brittany, thanks. It took less than 24 hours after Coach Gary Pinkel tweeted the photo of the football team, including himself, arm in arm Sunday, and Mizzou Athletics released a statement today saying, quote, the primary concern of the student athletes, coaches, and staff has been centered on the health of Jonathan Butler and working with campus leaders to find a resolution that would save a life. We are hopeful we can begin a process of healing and understanding on our campus. So the Tigers will play Saturday night against BYU. Head coach Gary Pinkel, as well as athletics director Mac Rhodes, addressed the media this afternoon. Pinkel and Rhodes finished up their press conference just before 5 o'clock, and Pinkel made it clear that Jonathan Butler's health was the main motivation behind the strike. Many of the Tiger players met with Butler Saturday night and became concerned with his health after seeing him in person. What followed was an emotional phone conversation between players and Coach Pinkel.
I'm talking to guys that have tears in their eye and they're crying. And they asked me if I'd support them, and I said I would. I didn't look at consequences. That wasn't about it at the time. It was about helping my players and supporting my players when they needed me. And I did the right thing, and I would do it again.
The news conference ended right before Chancellor Lofton announced his resignation, so neither Rhodes nor Pinkel commented on Lofton's departure. Back to Brittany on the Carnahan Quadrangle.
Today, the White House press secretary praised the Concerned Student 1950 movement. Josh Ernest, a Missouri native, complimented the students for their hard work and commitment to creating change on campus. He says a few people speaking up can have a, quote, profound impact on the communities where we live and work. He says the commitment to equality on campus is something the community should be proud of.
I think what is notable about many of the events that we saw over the weekend is the way that campus has really rallied together. in support of the idea that every student that is admitted to the University of Missouri has a place on that campus and in that community.
Missouri politicians from Jefferson City to Washington, D.C. weighed in on Wolf's decision to resign. KOMU 8's Michael Lindquist is in the studio to tell us how the politicians are reacting.
That's right. Thank you, Brittany. Missouri lawmakers took to Twitter today to show their reactions to the announcement of Wolf's resignation. U.S. Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill tweeted shortly after the announcement saying, quote, "Now it is time for hard work and healing." State Senator Maria Chappelle-Nadal stated, quote, "Students at Missouri win." Also, State Senator Jamila Nasheed wrote, "Thanks, Mizzou students and Mizzou football for showing the impact you can have when standing up for what's right." Other Missouri lawmakers released statements today. Governor Jay Nixon released his statement shortly after the announcement saying, "Tim Wolf's resignation was a necessary step toward healing and reconciliation on the University of Missouri campus, and I appreciate his decision to do so." Columbia Representative Caleb Rowden also says, "I applaud President Wolf for making a very difficult personal decision today that was ultimately in the best interest of the University of Missouri system and our flagship campus here in Columbia." And Missouri Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler says the decision was Mr. Wolf's, and I respect his decision to take the action he has taken. It is unfortunate things have gotten to this point, but this highlights a larger issue at hand, racism, not just one person's handling of a situation. To see all of the political statements released to KOMU 8 News over the course of the day, head over to our website at komu.com.
Many of the conversations on our KOMU 8 Facebook page showed our viewers are concerned about the university's actions today. Our viewers question the chain of events that over the last few days brought this about, asking if they'll actually bring change. Sean Cover says, "I don't totally understand what the removal of one person will do. Has there been any further investigation on the racist actions and that event took place? My understanding is this is a race issue." Becky Stone says, "This is wrong. It's very sad when blackmail by a few people affect an entire university. I'm sure he also had pressure from the athletic department because of this weekend's game." And Ellen Coyle says, "Glad this young man is no longer putting his health at stake. However, what was forcing Wolf to resign truly accomplished. Racial tensions on campus have never been worse." Now, this call for change stems from a string of racist incidents on campus over the past few months, so we wanted to take a look back at what led up to today's resignation. In September, the Missouri Student Association president, Peyton Head, was subject to racist remarks. A few weeks later, an intoxicated student interrupted a Legions of Black Collegians homecoming rehearsal with a racial slur. The student was identified and removed from campus. That same week, Jonathan Butler and concerned student 1950 held a demonstration during the homecoming parade, blocking the car of UM system president Tim Wolf. The group says a protester was bumped twice. They were also frustrated Wolf took so long to address the incident. Then, last Monday, Jonathan Butler announced he would start a hunger strike that would not end until Wolf was out. Since then, the MU campus has been home to multiple marches, rallies, and student walkouts. Saturday night marked a turning point when a group of black players on the MU football team announced they would support the effort by boycotting all football activities until Butler ate again. Coach Gary Pinkel responded, saying that the team stands as one in support of its players. Obviously, there has been a lot of developments throughout the day. Right now on KOMU.com, we have the latest from Lofton, Wolf, and the group Concerned Student 1950. That's also where you'll find a photo gallery from today's rally, including a wrap of your Facebook and Twitter comments. We will have much more coming up on this full hour-long edition of KOMU 8 News at 6, so we invite you to stay with us. We have team coverage all over campus, and tonight we're going to begin with KOMU 8's Chris Gothner, who was at the Board of Curators meeting this afternoon when Lofton made his announcement. Chris?
I'm here at the Old Alumni Center, where we have just learned that an interim replacement has been named for Chancellor R. Bowen Lofton. Now, that interim replacement is Hank Foley. He is the UM system He is the UM Systems Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs, Research, and Development. He has been appointed on an interim basis to replace Chancellor R. Bowen Lofton. Now, Lofton announced about 2 hours ago here at the Old Alumni Center that he will be resigning his post and transitioning to a new role involving MU's research facilities. Now, we don't know exactly what that new role will entail, but we will surely be learning more as the weeks go by.
All right, thank you, Ashley. That group Butler is a part of, Concerned Student 1950, has become a popular hashtag over the past few days, but many people don't know where that hashtag came from or what it means. 1950 is the year the first black student was admitted to the university. The group formed this semester for the purpose of the homecoming parade demonstration. More than 30 University of Missouri football players said they would not play Saturday unless Butler ate. Obviously, that happened. Chris Gervino is in the studio with what's next for the team.
Well, Brittany, it took less than 24 hours for Wolf, the University of President, to resign after Coach Gary Pinkel tweeted a photo of himself and his football team arm in arm. Mizzou Athletics released a statement today saying, quote, "The primary concern of our student athletes, coaches, and staffs have been centered on the health of Jonathan Butler and working with campus leaders to find a resolution that would save a life. We're hopeful we can begin a process of healing and understanding on the campus." So the team will play Saturday night against BYU, and head coach Pinkel, as well as athletics director Mack Rhodes, met the media today. KOMU 8's Phil Bergman attended the news conference and joins us now in the newsroom. Phil.
Thanks, Chris. Yes, I did just get back from the Missouri Athletic Training Complex where the football team does practice and work out. Players are currently on their way there for a team meeting, which should be getting done as we speak. At the press conference, athletic director Mack Rhodes did say that what's going on now is more than just field goals and first downs.
They've never seen a person dying in front of them. And for many of these young men, that was real. And I think as they slept on it, and we met that next day, that Sunday, we had discussion.
We'll have more on the MU football team later on in sports, but now let's send it back to Brittany on Carnahan Quad.
Both undergraduate and graduate students, as well as faculty and community members, were out here on Carnahan Quad for most of the day. KOMU 8's Morgan Young was also out here most of the day. She's back in the studio now to tell us more about what's been going on campus.
I spent a majority of the day on Carnahan Quadrangle, where the student group Concerned Student 1950 was camped and surrounded by arm-linked chains of its supporters. Chants of support, cheers of passion, and hands raised in solitude. Concerned Student 1950 has been camped out in protest for about a week and a half, but today things came to fruition with multiple letters of resignation, the end of the hunger strike, and a new list of demands. While a no media request by the group was made it nearly impossible to speak to anyone who is a direct part of the movement, I spoke to some students who said this change has been a long time coming, and others who were shocked by the stories of racist campus incidents that have occurred at MU.
A lot of confusion, a lot of desire to know just how you feel about like these problems that happen on campus and just happen on a daily basis even. Just it's kind of disheartening for me to hear that actually happen to people.
MU told KOMU 8 classes and campus operations were never officially canceled by the university and will continue as usual for the rest of the day and tomorrow. Professors can cancel class if they want to, but the university did not and will not cancel operations at this time. Back to you, Brittany.
A lot going on here on the MU campus today. We're going to continue our coverage of all of today's events coming up on KOMU 8 News at 9 on the CW and KOMU 8 News at 10. Right now, if you want more on this, you can go to KOMU.com. We have the latest from Lofton, Wolf, and the group Concerned Student 1950. That's also where you'll find a photo gallery of today's rally, including a wrap of your Facebook and Twitter comments. We invite you to stay with us throughout the night, but for now, let's send it back to the studio.